Welcome to the Beyond the Vines podcast, where I interview local business owners in Sonoma County to highlight small business and grow our community. I'm your host, Amy Ehlers, a mom, realtor, and Sonoma County native, and I'm excited to connect you to some amazing people in this beautiful area that we call home. Welcome back to the Beyond the Vines podcast. I am so appreciative of everyone for listening. I am here today with good friends of mine, Robert and Kimberly Strickland of the Strickland Law Group. I would love to tell you a little bit more about this community staple that we have in the room today. So Kimberly has been practicing law for 18 years, and her focus is primarily on estate planning, including probate and trust administration, real estate, and business law. Kimberly knew she wanted to be an attorney from a very young age, stating this was her dream job when she was in the first grade, which is amazing to me. In 2013, after practicing in San Francisco for over 8 years, Kimberly and Robert formed Strickland Law Group in their hometown of Petaluma. Kimberly's favorite part of practicing in Petaluma is being able to work with multi-generational community members and serving local businesses. Even though Petaluma has grown significantly over the past 40 years, Kimberly loves that it still has that small hometown feel and is happy to be raising her children here. Kimberly is admitted to practice law in all courts in the state of California, Northern Central, and Southern District Courts, and the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal. Outside of work, you can find Kimberly with her husband Robert and their 3 children, usually at a sporting event or a dance recital. Kimberly enjoys running, cooking, listening to live music, and loves any opportunity to sample new wines at one of our many incredible local wineries. And I'm going to say Kim and I definitely enjoy a drink together from time to time as well. Yeah. Also, a little bit about Robert before we get started. Robert began his career in 2004 at the California Department of Insurance and has since tailored his practice to helping people in civil litigation matters, specifically in plaintiff's side personal injury and employment law issues. Robert has primarily dedicated his career to representing plaintiffs because he likes representing the individuals and sympathizes with struggles a traumatic injury or loss inflicts on his clients' lives. Robert finds great satisfaction in listening, fighting, and recovering compensation for his clients who have been negligently injured. Robert's employment practice similarly focuses on individual employee, and he represents workers with claims of discrimination, retaliation, wrongful discharge, and wage claims. Robert is admitted to practice law in all courts in the state of California, as well as the Northern, Eastern, and Central District federal courts. He's also admitted to practice and has successfully argued before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. In Robert's free time, he enjoys spending time with his wife and 3 kids, playing music, exploring the beauty of Sonoma County, and playing tennis. So with that, I welcome Robert and Kimberly. Welcome, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
It's so fun to see you. I mean, we had our kids together at the same time. Yeah. We're coming back because I will have one in junior high next year, so I'll be seeing you a lot on campus again.
Happens
all
fast.
of that. Although I don't know if we'll be on campus as much.
Yes.
When it comes to this age.
Yes, that changes.
Yes, but it's so fun to have you in here. And I have definitely used your services when it comes to estate planning and trust. And so I always shout your name from the rooftops. You both are amazing. So I'm honored to have you in here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thank you.
So can you tell us all a little bit about your journey of establishing the Strickland Law Group and what inspired you to create this family-owned law firm?
Yes. You want me to start?
Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. So, Robert and I met working together, and, that's all we've kind of ever known. We were baby lawyers when we started our first law job together.
Wow.
And kind of grew together as lawyers and as a family. Lived in San Francisco back during that time. So we both practiced in San Francisco for the same and then different firms for a period of time. And we kind of always talked about our dream of having our own law firm.
Amazing.
And, baby lawyers will talk about having their own law firm. And it's something wholly different to own your own law firm and be a manager and owner of a law firm than to just be a lawyer. Right. And so navigating that process of starting our own firm took a while for us to figure that out. But we finally decided that we would, when we started having our family, that we wanted to come back up here to Petaluma. And in looking at that, we figured, well, it would be best now to start, our own law firm and figure it out. And so we started to kind of figure that out when our first was born in 2011. Right. And started putting that together and get the wheels in motion. And when we moved back up here, we started over at the Regis space. We still laugh about the fact that we had one small office there at the Regis space that we shared together.
Wow.
The 2 of us, showing up to
Very
work
cozy.
together. Yeah. And just like hitting the pavement and getting to know people again in this community. and hone in our practice and what we wanted to do and who we wanted to work with. And so that has grown over the past 10, now working on 11 years since we established our firm. We've obviously moved to a new location. We don't have one small office together that we share anymore.
Much larger location.
Yeah, much larger location with a lot of incredible support staff and incredible clients that have helped us get there. And I think we both say, on a regular basis, we can't really imagine working for anyone else.
Right.
At this point in our career, best decision we ever made was to go out on our own and hang our shingle. And one of the reasons that we did that was, we kind of were in that plug and play model of law firm. This is what you do. Right. This is how you handle clients, and not really having that personal relationship with clients. And that's what we wanted, is to be able to have personal relationships with our clients and know them and be able to service them in unique and different needs. And so we're able to do that with our own firm. And that's kind of where we find the joy in being attorneys, is being able to have those relationships and connections. And so we're grateful for that in this community. I think you can do that here.
Yeah.
You can't do that other places. Yeah.
That's amazing. And
That's
I didn't realize that that's how you had met originally. Yeah. So that's such a great story.
Yeah. So, he tells people that I was his boss. I was never his boss.
I like your version of the story. I think that's fantastic.
It's always been collaborative, and it allows us flexibility too with our family. We've got 3 kids between the age of 6 and 12 now. And we started this firm, when we had like an 18-month-old, just starting to get one 18-month-old trying to get off the ground. And so, we have flexibility in scheduling ourselves and scheduling clients in unique ways that allows us to be present for our family, which is really important to us.
That's everything,
and being in this small town of Petaluma, you can get to the ballpark in 5 minutes from work and, move some things around. So we're grateful for that.
You're literally within the community, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I will say too, a lot of times you'll see on Facebook people asking for a referral for someone, and it's always Strickland Law Group, Strickland Law Group, Strickland Law Group. Like everybody knows you and loves you guys and refers you.
Yeah, we're grateful. Yeah. It's a great community to work in.
Yeah. One memory I have of you guys, when we had kids together at KinderCare for daycare and preschool, I remember I had just had my second. Yeah. And you made, I think, 3 dinners for me, like frozen dinners. And I was like, she has a law firm and 2 babies of her own. And how does she have time to feed our family? And I just remember being so grateful to you guys. You're so involved with everybody, and you find that time to make the difference in the community. So
I knew Mama needed to eat.
Mama needed to eat. My oldest daughter, I remember her slurping down that soup. This is the best soup ever. I have a picture of her holding the bowl and up to her face. It was so funny. So you two are both amazing. So can you tell me a little bit about how you approach each client differently to ensure that tailored representation according to their specific needs? I know from speaking with you earlier, you had a big focus on your mission statement together and how that was important to you. If you could share a little more about that.
Yeah. Do you want to take this, or do you want me to read the mission statement?
You can go ahead with the mission statement.
So, when Robert and I were establishing our firm, we spent weeks looking at our mission statement and talking about it, coming back to it and refining it and figuring out who is our client, who is our ideal client, how can we help them, what is our goal and what our firm is going to be many years from now. And so we created our mission statement. I'm just going to read it because it's as important for anyone listening to hear as it is for us to revisit it as much as possible, because it's great to remind ourselves of that. So our mission with Strickland Law Group, we're a family-owned law firm with strong roots in Sonoma County and a commitment to helping our neighbors. We are formed with the goal of providing a more personalized experience. Our clients receive representation tailored to their specific needs. We listen, we understand, and we work together to accomplish the best results for our clients.
I love that.
So I'll let you talk about how we do that.
Well, I was just going to say, I think, I think it's very important to sort of take the time at the initial consultation, to find out what the goals are, to make sure that you're, on the same page strategically. And it's going to be a relationship. So you have to make sure that you understand the needs, that you can provide those services, and then making a plan to execute. So I think taking the time to really listen and then make sure it's going to be a good attorney-client relationship is very important.
Yeah. That makes a world of a difference too. I think when people feel heard and feel like you understand why they're coming to you.
Right.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love that you revisit your mission statement every once in a while, because you do get lost in the shuffle of like the normal day-to-day business, and it's important to kind of come back and remind yourself the goal.
Yes.
So.
And our team also.
Mm-hmm.
We have an incredible team back at the office that is just, making things happen and making our clients feel like home.
Yep.
And, most people walking through our door are not having their best day. I mean, we have clients who are planning for the first time because they've got young families or, they just decide it's time to put a plan together. And those people may not be having a difficult time in that. We're going to talk about difficult things. And so, there is that. But there's a lot of clients who are coming to us that have been injured, they've been terminated, they've lost a loved one.
Wow.
And so our team understands that our goal is to have that personal connection, kind of be that like warm, soft land for them so that they know we've got you. We're going to take care of the hard stuff. But we're also here to support you. And that's it's a hard dance. People that are having a hard time aren't always, in their best space. So our team and us always revisit that, like there may be people who come in here who are not feeling well, who are upset or angry at the situation that is affecting them. And our goal is to just be kind and supportive and help them find a way through it, be the problem solver.
I love that.
Yeah.
And give them a little grace in the process, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
because it can be. And that's probably a lot for you to take on too at the end of the day when you've seen like a lot of people having one of their worst days.
Yeah.
So that's
we
amazing.
try to leave work at work.
Yeah.
So that's been, personally for us, that's always been a thing of like, we may have a thing or two we've got to talk about business wise at home or, calendar wise, but leaving work at work has always been important for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we kind of like help gatekeep each other with that.
Good.
Because sometimes you just need like, oh, it's been a tough day.
Yeah.
And I want to shake it off.
Yeah.
And talk about it. But we do a good job of trying to
compartmentalize it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That's really important. Yeah. For your family life.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So with your strong roots in Sonoma County, can you share some examples of how your law firm has made a positive impact on the local community?
Yeah.
You're both very involved.
Yeah. You want me to
No, go ahead. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
talk a lot.
No,
I
it's
always
good.
say I talk a lot and everybody in my firm does everything else. I just talk. I think that those connections in the community are really helpful for our clients.
Yeah.
So we are, very active in our community and know a lot of connections, whether it's, realtors, financial advisors, CPAs, fiduciaries, mediators, judges, clerks, and our firm does a good job of staying connected to like everybody in our firm, Petaluma Women's Club, they're involved I'm involved in Petaluma Educational Foundation. And that all casts a very broad net of other professionals and connections that I think are really beneficial for our clients, because if they're asking us for, I need to sell my home. Do you know a good realtor? Hey, I know the best,
Why,
her
thank
name's
you.
Amy. But, we really do have, I think, the opportunity to support them in ways that aren't coming directly from us.
Yes.
And those are good benefits to them. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think just being involved in the community, whether it's like with our kids or one of the other, organizations that we're a part of, we do feel like that presence is important. And Petaluma is so small.
It's so small. Yeah.
It's so small.
You know everybody.
Yeah. And I was born and raised here, as you were, right?
Yes.
And so there's those connections from, when I was a kid growing up to like friends and friends' parents. Now, their kids are going to school with my kids or the same local businesses we've always frequented. So I do find in Petaluma that, and for me too, it's an important connection, like, oh, you're from here, that
we're the same.
it kind of means, it means something.
Yeah.
And it allows further resources, I think, for our clients.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Really amazing. And yeah, I definitely see you all over town too with being involved with your kids too. So it's so fun to kind of see that reach there as well.
Yeah.
So the whole
Bun up,
family
coffee
bun
in
up,
hand.
Right.
Yeah.
coffee in hand. You have the baseball bag. Like
From attorneys to Uber drivers to
exactly. Oh,
all
doesn't it
over
happen
town.
fast? I'm
Yes.
like, okay, clocking out on real estate showing. Now I'm taking you to dance.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah.
So funny. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you guys can relate. It's a phase of life that we're all in for
Oh, yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. So you practice a lot of different types of law. Can you tell us more about that, about what you practice, and also if there's a certain type of law that you practice more frequently than others, or kind of what you're...
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we practice in different fields. So
Mhm. There
I
we go.
primarily do plaintiff side,
Okay.
personal injury,
Right.
which is if you've been hurt in an auto accident or fall, someone's negligence
Right.
has caused an injury. So I represent the individual who's been injured,
Mhm.
and usually trying to get them help assess what the damage
Amazing.
is, and then see if we can get as much compensation for them
Yeah.
for the loss
Yeah.
as possible. So it's a lot of dealing with insurance companies
Yeah.
and really having to overcome that block to getting the person, the damages that they're entitled to.
That's amazing.
And so that's maybe 80% of my practice,
Okay.
80 to 85%.
Yeah.
And then the rest is plaintiff side again, employment law.
Got it.
So the individual who's sort of experienced a violation of California labor law. And it's either going to be like a wrongful termination where it's been based on retaliation, discrimination, or a failure to comply with like the wage laws.
Right.
So depending on the individual, are they being paid appropriately? Are they getting the breaks? There's certain rights that they have in California, and making sure that those are upheld.
Right. Do you find most of your clients are from this area, or do you work outside too, like communicating on Zoom or phone?
No, it's primarily Sonoma County.
Got it.
And
Okay.
it'll also go into Marin,
Mhm.
but mostly we stay just very local.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's just based on really familiarity with the jurisdictions, with the
Right.
court systems, the
Right.
local rules. There's
Yeah, you
there's a
couldn't know
lot
of California probably.
No, and yeah, all the local rules
Yeah.
are different.
Yes.
And, for every
depending on
court.
your city.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Every
Yeah.
county is different. So it's nice. It's nice to be able to hone in, and then
Yeah.
also the judges and the clerks
For
and the
sure.
mediators.
right. And it's just sort of there's the written rules, and there's also sort of the unwritten
Yeah.
rules. That
Yeah.
familiarity with that helps.
Right.
So.
Which helps you serve your client better.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And then what about you, Kimberly?
Yeah, I'm more transactional. So, I always say Robert's all litigation all the
Right.
time because he's, in court, he's dealing with mediators and filing in the courts.
Right.
Mine's more transactional, and then I practice mostly in the estates world. So,
yeah.
trust and estates is usually what people call it. But,
Yeah.
drafting wills, drafting trusts, doing trust administration when someone passes. I do go into court for probates.
Right.
So when someone passes and they either, have a will or they don't have a will, and we've got to go into the probate court to pay
Right.
final expenses and distribute their assets. That's what we call probate.
Yep.
And so I do handle court filings and
Right.
go into court for probates. And then business and real estate. So business formation, business contracts,
Right.
dealing with, mostly assisting businesses kind of with whatever they've got going on. If it is litigation, that's not something that I handle, but I
Right.
do handle all the transactional work for them.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Gosh, what a well-rounded practice you have. Like, this is
Yeah.
amazing.
We
Yeah.
work together, but don't work together.
Yes,
Right.
Because we're
which
in
is
the-
probably
yeah.
kind of the key, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's actually really good because we understand sort of what it takes and what you have to do. And so if there's someone that has, well, I've got to get this done, there's not any misconception about, okay,
Right.
we understand this is what litigation requires.
Yep.
This is what this transaction requires. So
Yeah.
we can provide that support and knowledge.
Mhm.
And
Love
then
that.
sympathy sometimes too.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
good.
for sure. Yeah, because you understand each other's work worlds,
Yeah.
really,
Right.
and like the demands of it. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
And we do have
Yeah.
a lot of crossover client. We end up having crossover
Yeah, that makes
clients too.
sense.
If there's somebody been injured, in an auto accident or some other like premises liability case or something,
Right.
and they have, a financial recovery. Sometimes that's the first time that they've thought about like, oh, I need to
Yes.
protect this for my family,
Yes.
or how do I And so we do have some crossover clients who are happy that they can stay with us for whatever else they need.
Yeah.
That happens to me a lot in the estates and business world. So sometimes people will come to me for business planning and then realize they don't have their personal estate planning together, or vice versa. And a lot of times the estate planning leads into, what is your business plan? What happens if something happens to you as a business owner? You know, who's going to take over and take care of that?
Right.
And so it's nice to be able to practice in a couple different practice areas that support each other.
I didn't even think of that, like that tie, because, you know, when it comes to estate planning and trust, but then also if you own a business, what's the plan there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good, helpful reminder to everybody.
Yeah.
So I always think, of course, like my brain goes to house, like house and children. That's where my brain goes. But business as well. Yes. So that's amazing. Yeah. That's great. So this will be more of a question for you, Rob. What are some common misconceptions clients have about their personal injury cases, and how do you kind of help them navigate that?
Oh, thank you. So number one, the insurance company is not on your side.
Yes.
They are trying to get it done quick, to minimize the value, and to make sure that there's no support. So they're in the business of making money.
Definitely.
So one of the misconceptions is that it's not going to be fast. There's no such thing as like a quick overturn if you're going to get the true value of what your damages are. So you need to take the time to or let the attorney collect the records, get the billings, make sure that you're getting the treatment you need, get a real impartial, true assessment of what the loss is. And then you can begin the process of negotiation. Right. The other misconception is, and I tell this to every single client that comes in, I say, your only job is to tell the truth every single time. Yep. And that's it. There's no need to ever overstate. There's no need to do anything that's not true, because you need to have a credibility. Right. And you're going to tell this story 5, 10, 15, 20 times sometimes before the process is over. And if it's the same every single time, that creates credibility. Absolutely. And so you want to do that. And it's your opportunity to really sort of put your own personal truth, the impact, the loss, how it's affected you. So that's one of these things. Sometimes people think, well, the law, you have to sort of, fib things, or we're not doing that.
Not doing
You're
that.
telling the truth every single time.
I love that.
And I guess that's the main sort of thing I would say is always tell the truth. And the other, I guess, is be a squeaky wheel.
I love that.
So if you are injured, go get the medical help that you need and complain. Honestly complain. Say, this is what's going on. This is my loss, because that is, it's verifying it through the professionals. Right. So
don't let them brush over you, essentially.
Right. You need to be a complainer.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Are you kind of like, or should you be the first stop for a lot of people that have experienced an injury? Like, how does that go? Do they file it with insurance first? Obviously, the hospital would probably be the first stop.
Right.
Don't drive straight.
Don't drive to Ralph. All right, no medical degree. But like, how does that kind of look?
No, you want to get in touch with an attorney as soon as you think you might need one.
Okay, got it.
So of course, health is always first priority.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're seeking the medical attention that you need. And then second, the attorney can help sort of facilitate that and take a lot of it off your plate. And do all of the communications with the necessary parties. So a lot of it is like, first time anybody's dealing with something like this, there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of suspicion. And so having somebody that's going to sort of take that off your plate in a time when you should be focusing on rehabbing and getting better can be a real service. Yeah. And so contact an attorney as soon as you think you need one.
Okay. That's good information, because I wouldn't even know what to do in that case. So, so it's great.
And the other good thing is that, consultations are always free.
Great. Yeah.
And so the attorney, I'll tell you that you don't need an attorney. Right. I tell a lot of people you don't need one, or, this isn't a good fit, or, but the consultation is worth it just to get some information. And then move from there. That you can make an informed decision.
That's a great reminder. So free consultation, because they may not even need to retain your services. Right. That's super helpful. So Wonderful. So when it comes to employment law, what are some of the key issues that local employees in Sonoma County often encounter, and how do you help them address those challenges?
I normally get a phone call when there's been sort of a communication breakdown between the employer and the employee. And so, number one, I would always just encourage open communication.
Yeah.
So if there is a problem or if there's a complaint, it needs to be told to the employer so that they can do an investigation, they can have an honest dialogue. I'm usually called when that hasn't happened and there's been a breakdown or there's been some form of retaliation. And I think we're business owners as well. So I understand both sides of it.
Yeah.
Where, the employee has certain expectations and rights and business owner has expectations and rights. And so making sure that you can understand or travel those waters, usually communication is the best answer. But with that, employees do come when there has been a breakdown in that communication and then a failure to sort of alleviate the violation.
Right.
So, I can usually give insight to the employee of what their rights are. Has there been a violation? Is there a claim? And what options you then have to sort of address that issue. So,
great.
Happy to consult on those as well.
That's great. And I also love that you point out that you are a business owner as well. So you really can understand both sides of this, which is beneficial for the clients coming to you as well, to kind of maybe break down any misunderstandings or anything that could happen too.
Right.
Yeah. So that's great. So kind of coming to you a little bit, Kim, estate planning is crucial for individuals and families. Can you share some important considerations or tips for our listeners who are thinking about planning?
Yes. Yes. Well, unfortunately, in California, planning is key. I mean, everyone has to plan. And I say that because, with all due respect to our incredible probate department in Sonoma County, because we do have incredible judges, incredible clerks, they try their best to help us facilitate probates as quickly and painlessly as possible. It is a process. And if you don't plan, you are in that process. And so court supervision of either your, health and financial welfare while you're incapacitated, if you're incapacitated, or after you pass, is the plan for you if you don't plan. Right. And so that doesn't always look like, a huge estate plan. People, I think, get a little freaked out by the word trust. Because people hear like trust fund and they think, oh, I don't have any money or anything anyways. But as you know, if you own your home in California, you likely need a revocable living trust. And the reason that you need a revocable living trust is so we can avoid this probate process. It's not creating a trust fund for like tax avoidance or to make, this ongoing complex trust for your children. But it does avoid that probate process. And I think even, all of the judges, throughout the state of California would agree with me that we want to avoid that process. It is time consuming. It is expensive. It is public. There are creditors that can come out of the woodworks in probates that can't, when you're dealing with trust administration, most notably when we're talking about like government benefits. And so, we really want to make sure that people are protected and not the loved ones aren't having to go through that process. And I think most commonly the misconception I hear is, well, I created a will, so now I'm not going to have to deal with probate. And a will doesn't avoid probate. I always tell people, if you don't plan, the state of California has a plan for you. And they will distribute your assets to, your next of kin, right? Your heirs at law, which are, family members, maybe some that you'd want to be included, maybe some that you wouldn't. Children, maybe at ages that you would be comfortable with them receiving them, maybe not. And so if you plan with a will, you're just telling the court what plan to follow instead of their plan, instead of the state of California's plan. my most common example of this is like, I, Kimberly Strickland, leave everything to the Rose Society of Sonoma County. Right. So instead of planning for my family, I could plan with a will to plan for somebody else, some other charity or organization. And that will only tells the probate court what to do. It doesn't avoid probate. And I think a lot of people think it does. So, getting that education is key. I think understanding what you need to do to avoid that process is important. And anyone who owns a home in California should be doing that planning because we're not going to avoid that process without having the plan. My favorite thing about planning is that it is never the same. So, plans for similarly situated individuals can be very different depending on, what their family looks like, what their goals are for their children or other loved ones that depend upon them for care and support, who they want to be making medical or financial decisions for them. So it's always different and always warrants, a deep conversation where they understand what this means. And I think also, just to kind of like put an asterisk on what I think is the most important part of planning, incapacity planning for if you are here but incapacitated is the most important thing that everyone needs to do. Our court process for conservatorships, if you don't have the basic plans, is not a place anybody wants to be. And if you're incapacitated, the last thing that somebody needs to be thinking about is like what court hearing they need to go to kind of approve permission to make medical decisions for you or financial decisions for you. Nobody wants to be there in that time. So if you don't plan, that's kind of where you are. And so it's really important to speak to someone about estate planning as soon as you are over the age of 18. As soon as you're an adult, it's important to start planning.
That's super important information. And I'll say from, my own experience that the process, of course, is not fun. It's not things you want to think about. It's so important, though. But you bring up things that you don't think about, like normally, where I was like, oh, I'm going to have to get back to you on that. Like, I don't know how I would want that handled or, and it's so important to have you around for that guidance.
You only know what you know. And that applies to us too, like I'm not going to try to work on the engine of my car. Nope. I don't know. I know if it's making a noise and something sounds funny, but I definitely don't know how to fix it. And so, and I think for both of us, our goal and our role as attorneys is to problem solve. And so knowing from years of experience where those sticky spots are when someone passes and dealing with a lot of administration, we know more about those questions to ask to make sure that your plan works the way you want it to.
That's fantastic. That's a really great point. So talking about business a little bit, what is some advice that you would give to entrepreneurs who are looking to start their own business? Do you have new small business owners coming to you or current business owners? How does that kind of work in your practice?
So I think, we talked about this before we came today. I think seeking guidance, professional guidance early on is key. And it's not just legal advice. It's also like tax advice and understanding, your industry may require certain permits and licenses and understanding what you want your team to look like. Are you going to need independent contractors or are you going to use employees or are you going to rely on vendors and are you going to need contracts and, understanding kind of what your business is and then reaching out for that support from those industries. I think tax advice is one of the most important things when you're forming your business. And if you just start out as a sole proprietorship or a partnership, there's self-employment taxes that people are very surprised by, and as your business grows, that might change. So I think getting that team in place early on and then continuing to go back and look at, what's required now, this has changed what's required now. And then compliance changes, like we were just talking about things that have changed for us as business owners in 2024 that kind of fly under the radar, for most employees or employers.
It's hard to keep up with. Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with, and there's no one-stop shop for that resource. I was just talking to a client about this the other day that had mentioned, like, other than Facebook, what's a good resource, for me to know when there's changes.
Wow, yeah.
And some of those, like, we can get, and we can give, tips to some of our, clients on. But others, we learn as employers too, like through our payroll company, that like the sick leave laws have changed so that there's increased hourly requirements.
Right.
So staying connected as a business owner, you can't hang your shingle and then just like set it and forget it, right? You've got to just kind of keep staying updated with your tax professionals, with your legal professionals. And we understand for a new business owner, we were new business owners, you're scraping everything together to try to hang that shingle. Yeah. And so, coming and to a lawyer or to a tax professional and paying a large fee is not always a resource that people have. And so we're always mindful of that. Like, we can consult on some things. We're happy to have you, tell you kind of what needs to be done and do what we need to do. But we understand, that's not always a resource that people have.
Especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
But probably at many times throughout the process too. So,
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
so
amazing.
Some business owners will come with like, this is my contract and this is kind of what I want to use. Can you help me make sure that it fulfills my needs? So that may be like a 1-hour meeting to talk about how we kind of zhuzh it up and make sure that it is what they need it to be. And then maybe a little bit of time working on, in the Word document, kind of editing and making their contract what it needs to be. And that's very different than us like starting from scratch drafting a contract. So,
for sure.
we can work we can meet them where they are.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's super beneficial.
Yeah.
That's amazing that you have that. Gosh, I'm thinking of all the different ways your brains must work each day.
And purge.
I'm very impressed. And purge at the end of the day. I am very impressed. So what do you enjoy most about serving the legal needs of the Sonoma County community, and how does that passion kind of drive your work at Strickland Law Group?
Yeah. Do you want to take it?
No, you take this one. You go ahead.
Okay. Well, as I think I mentioned, but as like born and raised here, this community means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I dragged Rob here, not kicking and screaming, but he's happy to be here.
Oh,
Sonoma County, twist my arm. Oh, Southern California is a good place to be too, though.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the beaches, you can't beat them, right?
Yes.
Although there's no surfing directly here, but I can take him out to the cold beach.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a
little wetsuit. Yeah. But I think this community is different than many communities. And I'm sure people say that, about their community wherever they live. But I truly believe that Petaluma is very unique. There's a lot of connection here. There's a lot of history, with our dairy farmers and our, long-term families, we went to school with multi-generational families that have been here, forever. And we get to service those people and have relationships with them. And it's not like a big metro area where you like see someone and then you don't see them again. Like, you see them and then you run into them at the ball field and at the, playground and at the grocery store. And that connection is awesome. Yeah. And that feeds me to be connected to my clients in that way. We both have worked at places where that's not the case. And we've both worked like in San Francisco and Los Angeles, where there are these huge communities, and you just don't have that same connection. Yeah. And for me, that drives me. I love that I work with financial advisors that I play, their kids play ball with our kids, and I see them there, and then they're like mentioning, oh, hey, I'm going to send a client over next week that needs you, to work with them. And, it's just nice to have that connection.
I mean, I'm just appreciative of being able to live in just such a special community and then commute 5 minutes to work in that same community and then go see the same people that we're having these relationships with, inside and outside of the professional, aspect, at the baseball field, at the tennis courts, so I think that's just so unique, to have that. And I think you only have that here in Petaluma. So it's why we hung the shingle and
That's right.
where we live.
Yeah.
It's so special to see your appreciation for that too, and it's amazing to just be like 5 minutes away is what you built
Yes.
from your own community. It's amazing. So,
Yeah. And that is, there's something about the legal profession, at least, definitely when I started practicing 18 years ago, I always say, like, you could not step foot in a court in San Francisco Superior Court as a woman unless you had a skirt, suit on, and pantyhose. Like there was definitely a stigma about who you had to be as a lawyer.
Yep.
And some of that, I mean, I love to dress up. So no problem
you always
there.
have good style going.
I love to dress up.
I'm like, you don't. Yeah, I can't see you lining a pencil skirt, but I get the
maybe
vibe
not
going.
pantyhose.
Okay,
but
no
I love
pantyhose,
to
never,
dress up,
ever.
Right?
Yeah.
But I also want to be able to truly authentically be myself with my clients. I'm not putting on a show as to who I am.
Yeah.
I have 3 kids.
Yeah.
I live here in Petaluma. You're going to see me at the grocery store with my hair in a bun
Absolutely.
and a sweatshirt, and my 6-year-old, pulling on my train behind me, right? And so I get to authentically be who I am in this community and still practice in a pretty serious profession, and I take it seriously. It's very important. But I think we feel like we get to authentically be ourselves in this community, and without the pressure of the stigma of, like, you're a lawyer and you must fit in a certain box. That's just and it's myself and other legal professionals here I know feel the same way.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and I think because you get to be so authentic and you get to be that, parent life and all that, you're probably making your clients feel a lot more comfortable because you're more relatable in that way. So,
yes. Yeah,
that's
I think
pretty
that's the
amazing.
goal.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to only ask you one fun fact each because, as fun as you guys are, I'm going to cap it at 1 each. All right, let's start with you, Rob. What's one fun fact about you?
Let's see. One fun fact. I'm on the Petaluma Tennis Association.
Awesome.
Over 40 men's rated 3.5 team, and we just made the playoffs. So
wow!
I'm very happy and proud about that. Yeah, hopefully we're going to regionals.
Tennis player. Yeah.
That's very cool. This is a good community for you to be in for tennis as well, right?
It
you
is.
have a good tennis situation going on. That's awesome.
So,
congratulations.
And a second fun fact, I'm very good at bad magic. So
what do you mean bad magic? Like, what's a good example? We should have brought a magic trick in.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That would have been so good.
I should have next time.
Next time, I'm going to have you come back.
Magic.
I thought you said dad magic.
No,
I think they're
the
the same thing.
They may be the same thing. Yeah.
That's amazing. So you are a good bad magician.
Absolutely. The best.
So cool.
Available for parties if you need me.
See, he is fun. He's got more up his sleeve, too.
He has more. No,
well, I'll let you say yours, but I don't want to spoil yours, and then I'll come back to that. But go ahead.
These are still more fun. But
yeah.
I think my fun fact, which a lot of people here in Petaluma probably know about me that grew up with me, is that let's say I was a singer. I was an opera singer.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And sang all through. I mean, from the time I was like 6,
that's incredible,
all the way through elementary school, junior high school. Was in like 6 different choirs and a couple bands in high school, and then actually went to college on an opera scholarship.
Incredible.
So auditioned, became part of the opera program.
Wow.
And planned, of course, to have that be something in my profession. You don't really know at that time. You're just like, oh, you're going to give me money to sing? Sweet, I'll do that.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds fun. And then, pivoted again when I had my political science classes. My college had an incredible pre-law program.
That's awesome.
So they sucked me right in with my first poli-sci class.
I love that.
And so that, has kind of gone by the wayside. But I love to sing. Our daughter sings like crazy.
Really?
And so we're excited for her to kind of be the songbird. I let her carry the torch now.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you sing to the kids?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did when they were little.
Yeah.
And, kind of sometimes now, like, we'll sing, but Ruby will tell me, like, oh, no, I'm singing.
Oh, my
God. So
she is
so Mommy doesn't get to be the star.
The backup. Yeah.
That's right. You're the backup.
That's right. I can be a backup
You're
singer.
the backup while you chauffeur.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
She's adorable. I
Yeah.
feel like you could totally pull this out at like graduation, so and embarrass the kids.
Yes.
Know?
That's a good
You can
plan.
use this.
Yeah.
You can sing opera, you can do the magic tricks, and they'll just go running.
I can
It'll be
imagine
great.
the embarrassment.
It's so good. I mean, right now they'd probably love it, but give it a few years.
I don't know. The 12-year-old man.
Yeah,
The
I feel like
junior
he's
high
probably
is-
done.
He's
Yeah.
over.
Oh, we're so close to joining you there. That's so crazy to me.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing, both of yours, and I think your whole family is musical, so I think that we need to have some kind of performance situation. Would be great.
Come to the garage anytime.
Oh,
We've got
fantastic.
full
I'll be there.
band out in the garage. We'll get
That's
the
right.
microphone up. You just tell us what you want to do, and you can join the band. Yeah.
I'll bring my kids, and they'll probably want to join you.
Yes.
I'll just sit and watch with my wine.
Good.
Does that sound
We'll
good?
take it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right,
You
plan.
can take a tambourine.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I can
Yeah.
do that. I can
Yes.
do that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Tambourine's always open. Yeah.
That's amazing. I did used to sing, so my mom will die if she hears this, and
Oh, good.
And I'm not joining in on this,
Yeah.
but I'm not joining in on this. I'll do the tambourine.
All right. Maybe after some wine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go. Maybe we'll see. That would be my husband's like dream come true. Anyways, so towards the end of each episode, I like to ask: is there anyone you would like to give a shout out to that really helped you in your career?
Yeah. Would you want me to?
No,
talk?
go ahead. Yeah, take it.
We were talking about this, and the first thing that came to our mind was, of course, our parents. So, establishing a new business is no joke, and I don't think anybody, and people do it alone. I don't know how. We, of course, relied as we were building our family a lot on like, hey, Mom, can you watch Trey while we run to, so they were critical in helping us like get where we are, and then my parents, of course, and like, being that connection to bring us back to Petaluma because my parents are still here.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful for us to get to be with them all the time. So our parents for sure. And then, we both said there's so many, and once you start naming off a list, my dad taught me this, you're going to forget somebody and that person's going to be like, you didn't mention me.
Yeah.
So we're not going to name names, but we do, kind of stand on the shoulders of giants that have gone before us. Every attorney that we have worked for has given us a little bit of like, assistance in learning to be an attorney or learning how to manage a practice. And we definitely credit all of them. The other thing we have to say, there is not competition in the legal community here in Petaluma.
Wow.
And we're so grateful for that. Like everybody that all attorneys that practice here are part of this Petaluma attorney network.
Amazing.
They do social events, like every couple of months they'll like have a social event out. Everybody kind of gets together and enjoys being together. And for me personally, and I know you have the same network too, in the estate planning community, we have such a great network of other estate planning and, estates attorneys. And we are in constant contact with each other.
Right.
We are referring business to each other where we can't take on a client because of like conflict, or maybe it's not a good fit, or whatever it is. It's not very often that we don't, if we get a call that we can't help somebody, that we don't have a referral for them. Like
Amazing.
we're able to refer over, and it's because we have this incredible network of attorneys here, and to all of them we're so grateful.
That's
because
amazing.
if I ever have a circumstance where something is kind of new to me, I haven't experienced that before, this is a new issue before the probate court that is not something I see every day, I guarantee somebody else has.
Right.
And without giving up confidentiality, we are able to kind of reach out to that network and say like, hey, like this is happening. Has anybody experienced what Judge Dollard's, courtroom does when this is, circumstance presents itself?
Right.
And so we have to give a shout out to them, because I do feel like without that, you're not able to be as good of an attorney as you can be when you've got this like great support in your community. So
that's amazing. Also,
shout out to them.
Shout out to them. And like as a member of the community, it's so nice to hear that, you know, that you have that relationship with each other, and that we are all covered in such a positive way. You know, that's great.
Yeah.
So, that's amazing. Well, I would love for you to share, like as the last bit of information, where people can find you.
Oh, yeah. So our office is located at 1372 North McDowell Boulevard, Suite J, in the back of the building. We're right across from like the Beyond the Glory shopping center over there, if you know where that is, Michael's Kohl's. We're on the east side of Petaluma. Not very many attorneys on the east side. So we service the east side and the west side. But we're on the east side if that's convenient for you.
Yeah.
close for us to where we live, and we like being there.
Mhm.
We're also on the World Wide Web.
Amazing. What is this World Wide Web?
StricklandLawyers.com.
Awesome.
And we're also on the Gram and Facebook. I think it's also Strickland Lawyers. You know, if you
Okay,
just look up
cool.
Strickland Lawyers or Strickland Law Group, we're there. We try to be active. We try to have fun with our staff and post some stuff.
I love
so
that.
you can follow us there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you handle your own social media too?
Yes, and that's probably
They're
why
amazing.
it's not, you know, we're not posting as much. We're pretty busy, you know.
Oh,
so
for sure.
if we're posting a lot, it's, you know, we're
You're just
maybe we're
remembering
not
that
as
you
busy
need to
as
do
we
it,
need
or
to be,
you're all
but
slower.
yeah,
Totally.
But we've been more active at times on
Great.
social media.
Great.
We should probably be again.
Yeah.
I love it. It's fun for our staff. We like to have in-office celebrations and put things up. So
That's so
visit us on there.
cool.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
thanks so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you for having
Really
us.
Both
fun.
amazing. So I
Thank
appreciate
you.
this.
Thanks.
Great. And thank you for listening.
If you like what you hear, please be sure to like and subscribe, learn more about Sonoma County and all that we have to offer here.